I wish I knew that I might have to come back and defend my degree, defend my worth, defend my skills.
A lot of time when people just hear study abroad, the first things that come to their minds is UK, US, Canada. But there are so many countries around the world where you can study different things.
Your previous degree may not matter.
Mm.
That's a reality. A lot of us who go to study abroad need to also rely on an income. We need to find a job.
We have a lot of social media platforms these days where you can put yourself out there, what you've done, what you're working on. So your targeted audience can see you.
We assume that going to some of these countries, because there's the perception that they are developed countries, that things work. If you don't plan, then the chances of success are very, very slim.
This is TINE Africa Podcast. The new sound of international education in Africa.
Welcome again to another exciting episode of TINE Africa Podcast. This is where we talk about everything that has to do with international education in the continent of Africa. My name is Louis Adekola, and I am your exciting and very good-looking host of this episode, and of course the other episodes as well. Today on this podcast, I'm very excited, and you can already tell, from the way I've started. I'm super excited because this particular discussion is one that we should be having all the time, but we don't talk about it because, if you're like me and you've watched people talk about their experiences when they've gone to study abroad, you would realize that people sometimes are not well prepared for what awaits them when they go abroad to study. And it is not just really about, the information they have or the extent of research they've done. Well, maybe that is the case. But the truth is that there's a lot of time that people have a certain information, but the reality is totally different. And so today on the episode, we're going to be talking about myths and facts. What are the realities that await students when they go to study abroad? But what are the information that they get before going? So we're going to be talking about what are these myths, what are these facts, which ones are true, which ones are not, but also reflecting on our own personal journeys on what we wish we knew before going abroad to study. Again, like I said, Louis Adekola is my name, and I'm so excited to welcome you to this episode. I am seated with two amazing ladies who are also going to be sharing their experiences, who are going to also be, we're going to be discussing today. So this is going to be as interesting. I'm really excited for it. I'm just waiting to hear those things. And I try my best to not drill too much before this episode because I want to be as shocked as you are. Anyway, I'm seated just right next to me is, I was saying I was good looking, but yeah, compared to these ladies, I don't stand a chance. Adeyinka Adigun is a digital nurse at HCI Healthcare Ltd. Hi, Adeyinka.
Hi, Louis. How are you doing?
I'm very well. I'm very well. I like how you said, hi, Louis. Yeah, I'm doing very well. I was digital nurse. Do we talk about it now or later? Maybe later. All right. So, and my second guest on this episode today is Yemisi Ogunlade, who is the principal consultant at Plumptre Advisory. Hi, Yemisi.
Hello, Louis. Thank you so much for having me today.
It's a pleasure to have you both here. And I'm just here, internally, I'm grinning because I'm like, yes, I finally got these two people to be here.
Yeah.
So we are talking myths versus facts. What I wish I knew before going abroad to study. I say this because a lot of things are coming to my head. But let's start with just a little background so that people know who, because I just introduced you by what you currently do. I think it would be nice for you to tell us a little bit more about your academic journey, where you studied, what you did, and maybe a bit more, and then you can talk about digital nurse now.
Okay. Thank you very much, Louis. My name is Adeyinka Adigun. I am a registered nurse. I currently work in the digital space, telehealth. My journey coming to where I am today started from, I would say, secondary school, but just to bypass that. I had my bachelor's in nursing from Virgin Milagrosa University Foundation, Philippines. After which I came back to Nigeria in the thick of COVID to have my adaptation program done, as well as my internship. Then transiting to what I'm currently doing, I am a contact center nurse specifically. I work in the contact center. I offer customer support in the healthcare system. I am a nursepreneur. I am into business. I'm a nurse coach. I'm a nurse tutor. I mean, amongst a lot of other things. I would say that's the perks of being a multi-potentialite. So.
Oh, did you check my Instagram? Because I had that on my Instagram.
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't.
I actually do have that on my Instagram.
So I guess we are like.
I guess we are.
Yeah.
And then people have asked me, like, what does that mean? I'm like, go find out.
So I like to dive into a lot of things. I have a lot of passions. I like teaching, actually. But I took a break from clinical nursing for a while now. So that's why I'm currently in digital space.
Okay.
I still offer nursing support to clients and release individuals, but just under telehealth ecosystem,
Okay.
so to speak.
That is great. Thank you very much. A lot of these things, I love when I come to this podcast and I'm just learning from the guest. And I do that all the time. And this is just how many minutes into the episode. And I've learned a lot about digital nurse, healthcare, clinical, and the contact nurse and telehealth and nursepreneur. That's a lot. Well done.
Thank you.
Okay, over to you. Yemisi, please tell us.
So as you know, I'm Yemisi Ogunlade, and I'm a business management and education consultant. Happy to be in the company of fellow multi-potentialites.
Yes.
My study abroad journey started in 2007. So I trained as a lawyer. So I guess I thought, I'll be a sucker for punishment and go and read a bit more and take my 2-year-old daughter along with me. So that was a bit my story. I did my MBA at Bradford University and then went on to do the professional development program for the CIPD immediately after, because I thought to myself, adult education, you might as well just do it quickly while you still have the strength and get it over with. So I sort of left the UK with 2 degrees after that stint.
And that was at Leeds Beckett?
Leeds, yes. Well, it was Leeds Met then, and then became Leeds Beckett. Okay. So I did the MA in Human Resource Management there.
That is amazing. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
You went for 1 degree and came back with 2 certificates. I love it. Yeah. I love it. Anyway, so my journey was, mine started well, I went eventually in 2019, but the desire to go started so many years before, and I'm sure that was probably the case with both of you as well. I went to do so I had my first degree in educational management from here in Nigeria. I studied at Adeyinka University in Ondo State. Then I did a master's degree at the University of Lagos, comparative education. And then I went to the University of Sussex, where I studied international education and development. So, all the work I do in international education sounds about right? I have 3 degrees in the field of education, so it's my bread and butter.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So too, also.
Exactly. All right. So let us start with the very basic questions. In fact, I think let's dive straight into it. What were some of the things that you would say you wish you knew before? And we're going to take this now generally and then drill down in. But what were some of those things that you wish you knew before you went to study in Philippines?
Okay. Thank you very much, Louise. I would say, first and foremost, I wish I knew that I might have to come back and defend defend my degree, defend my worth, defend my skills, so to speak. Philippines is a country where the certificates obtained there are widely recognized. But then in the motherland, it's somewhat you have to go the extra mile. I mean, I came back, I did an adaptation course for 6 months. Took about 6 months to be able to register for that. So that was like about 1 year already. And then 4 months after that, I had to wait to actually be inducted to the Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria. And then another 4 months before I could get an internship placement. So and then 1 year of internship again. So, and then during that phase, you'd have to do double compared to our counterparts that studied in Nigeria, because the thought was, how do they know?
They don't drill you enough when you go abroad.
Exactly. I mean, I wrote exams every month in school. My cutoff mark was 75. 74 was literally failed. So it wasn't easy. It was not easy. But, you have to prove yourself. And I thank God for helping me during that phase. I would also say that it depends on the individual. You have to do a lot of research, extensive research, learning on your own, so you can actually own those skills that you've learned and then apply them, very well. So you don't just push you around and make you feel like, why did you? And everybody keeps asking, why did you go to study in the Philippines? I mean, if I had a penny for every time I heard that, I would be a millionaire by now. Why did you go and study in the Philippines? Why did you go and study? As opposed to UK, US,
And
Canada.
I mean, I really love that that you are on this episode, because a lot of time when people just hear study abroad, the first things that comes to their minds is UK, US, Canada. But there are so many countries around the world where you can study different things. And it comes from the place of research. If you do your research well, you will know what country is good for what. You will know what course is good where. You will know what countries. People go to Malta, they go to Italy, people go to France. People go to South Africa, to Kenya, to Ghana. And I would love to see, even more Africans go into other African countries. But also beyond that, it doesn't have to just be North America or Europe alone. So I'm very glad, and I'm happy that you shared that in terms of, because we don't usually think about what happens, after the program before taking that step, and sometimes it's important to have that knowledge of, when I come back, this is what I'm going to have to do.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing. If there are still more, we'll come back to it. But I want to just quickly go on to some of the experiences that we have when we get to that point, right? And you said your program was in 2007.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll also ask you, by the way, because you studied in 2 different countries, and at different times.
Continents too.
What were some of those culture shocks, or social lifestyle, dichotomies that existed, on getting to the UK where you went to study? What were some of the initial culture shocks that you experienced?
Can I be absolutely honest?
Yes, be honest.
For me, I found that my transition was more or less seamless. And I think the reason why was because I'm a very research-oriented person. And I believe that it's always critical to work backwards from your expected outcome. And I think that's one of the things that we don't do enough.
Yeah.
I think we have a lot of assumptions, or we actually don't even think about it. We just, we've gotten admission and it's just to go. But your success there is dependent on a lot of the work you do before you even get there.
Absolutely.
So I did a lot of research, and I used to read widely. I used to watch widely as well. So very few things took me by surprise, on getting to the UK. I mean, I was a bit of a traveler, but I guess, going there to study and live for a period is a bit different. But I would say a lot, of research that I did, even around how my daughter was going to settle, what kind of schools are there, where would be the best place to live that would be advantageous for her for the kind of schools that she was going to go. So I did a lot of that. So I would say that there wasn't particularly a lot of culture shocks. I think for me, one of the things is I probably didn't even maximize the opportunity as I should have. Because one of the biggest things about going to study abroad is the opportunity for immersion, the opportunity to experience so many things. And on the flip side, it looks like I'm probably an outgoing person, but I'm an introvert. So I don't think I did a lot of that. But in terms of being able to assimilate, being able to be observant enough to understand, okay, I'm going into a mix of cultures, I'm going to meet different people. You have to have emotional intelligence. You probably need to listen and observe a lot before you talk, watch the setting, watch the dynamics and things like that. I would say that. But I guess maybe one of the shocks was your previous degree may not matter. I think for me, I thought to myself, because I was quite accomplished, a trained lawyer, and I couldn't even get certain jobs. So so that's a reality. A lot of us who go to study abroad need to also rely on an income. We need to find a job. So at that point, I realized it's not about your degree, it's about what skills you have. So maybe in retrospect, there's certain skills that I might have picked up that might have been advantageous to getting a job or the kind of job that I was looking for in terms of part-time roles.
I love that. I love that you talked about, the fact that you didn't think that you took advantage of everything, because there are so many opportunities that people need to tap into, but they didn't. But one of the things that I was very happy that you talked about was previous degrees. There's something I'm supposed to say, but I won't say it because I've said it like too many times on different episodes. But if you're applying for jobs, and that's why you have to have different kind of CVs for different things, there's sometimes that you just take out your previous degree completely. I want to come to you because you studied in a different time. You said you returned in the
peak of COVID.
Peak of
2020.
COVID. Yes. All right. And you studied in Asia. So what was it like for you in terms of culture shocks and lifestyle?
So I would say for me, I'm a very resilient person and I adapt a lot. So it wasn't really much of a culture shock for me, but I want to talk about the food. I mean, it was surprising for me to hear or even see that you would add sugar to a lot of meals. Or, I mean, I remember the first time I saw them dipping the chicken in the batter. And, okay, in retrospect now, I understand that because I do that now also. But then, I mean, why are you not boiling? Why are you not boiling the chicken? I mean, they eat pre-fertilized eggs. Call it balut or balut. Like, I'm not sure of the pronunciation. Or it's basically you would open the egg and you would still see the feathers. You would see the head. I mean, that I never tasted it. I mean, some people were brave enough to do that, but I couldn't. I enjoyed my sanity. So the food, they had the differences in the way we cook. I would also say that research goes a long way.
Absolutely.
But one thing that really surprised me, because I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but I heard about the Philippines through a friend, and she planted some ideas in my head. Oh, during summer, we would go to Singapore, we would go to Malaysia, we would go for summer, and then you can pick up some jobs just to, baby girl lifestyle, basically. But I didn't have time because
the baby girl did not baby girl.
He did not. He didn't baby girl.
Baby girl.
I mean, I was in school. We ran a tri-semester system. So from August to December, I was in school. I would literally be writing exams December 23rd.
Wow.
2 days to Christmas. I'm sleeping on Christmas Day. That's a given. And then I'm resuming January 9th, 7th to June. And then summer would start in July to August. So there was literally no chance at all. I really went to study. I mean, I wish I had the chance to, explore, because Philippines is a very beautiful country. We have many tourist centers like Boracay,
Yeah.
Rawan, Alaminos. Like
And the
a lot
beach
of
is so lovely.
Yeah.
The love.
very beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, but I could only watch them through my screen, and it was very disheartening. It's part of my bucket list anyway to go
Yeah.
back with my husband and then just say, oh, this was my house, this was my
Okay.
this was my school, just to show him around and hopefully explore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my resilient nature didn't really let me be so shocked. But I would say that for about the first 3 weeks that I spent, I think I went through a phase of, just acclimatizing myself. And it was a bit low because I didn't start school immediately. I had to do some processes. So it was just like, I thought I was going to join the summer class. But it didn't happen. And I just had to it also helped me to integrate myself into the environment a lot more.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. And sorry about the baby girl lifestyle. That is not baby girl.
I'm sure our parents were very happy.
I mean,
I had a close experience to both of you. I wasn't super shocked, but there are some things like you can never do that. Maybe let me not say never, but there is, no matter how much research you do, there are still some things, because it's not your home country, especially if you're someone who have lived in your home country for a long time, that some things would just still feel somehow. I mean, it could be things as mild as how your skin reacts to the weather.
yeah.
For me, I became scaly. I was like,
Oh, wow.
yeah, because I'd always had this assumption that when you go abroad, you will look fresh and pink. And I used to look at people's hands here, all those rich people and like abroad people,
Fresh.
they'll have fresh and like puffy side like this and then pink lips. I was so prepared. Ladies, I was black. I turned black. I had acne like I'd never had in my life. And then I was having my skin started to peel
Feeling
from here. I needed to send
Like
an order
eczema.
for oil. And I'm like, am I supposed to be? Do you get? So for me, that was one major culture shock. Another one, sorry, I studied in the UK, so most of it will be weather related. I'm sorry. But the other one is summer in the UK.
Yeah.
I don't like summer in the UK. A lot of people say, oh, I want to go to I don't.
It's too
hot.
It's too cloying. It's
Jeez, it's too hot. And they're like, oh, you're coming from Nigeria, you're coming from Africa. It's too hot to the point that once I go out in the first sun like this, I'm breaking down. So I don't like it. And then a lot of things they're like, train cannot work because it's too hot for it. I personally didn't fancy that. Another one was food. I am not very adventurous with food. I think because there's a lot going on in my head and in my life at the same time, I just don't have that time to be going after burgers and pizzas and the rest. But I just wanted amala and swallows and whatever. So when I was going, the thing about research, when I was going, I had 3 bags, 3 luggage boxes. 1.5 was food. It was just food, different kind of
But
food.
it's finished at some
So
point.
thank you.
So what
By
do
the
you
time it
then?
finished, I
know.
started realizing,
you have to do the research to find where is the African
Yeah,
of
and
course,
where you
but
get
it's
the cheap
expensive.
one. No, you have to know where to get the cheap
cheaper
one.
ones.
Ah.
Oh yes, very important.
Very important. Oh.
Okay.
I did not do that. I did not do that. I agree with you because the ones that we got were super expensive. You had
And also the time.
yes, exactly. Last thing I wanted to mention, because I don't want to forget this one, is relating to weather again. It's called SAD. SAD,
Yes.
the seasonal affective disorder.
Okay.
Yeah.
That people deal with without knowing.
They may not know.
So it's when the season changes and then your brain is struggling to process, and then you struggle with depression and all that because of seasons.
When it's
Last one
gloomy.
again.
Yeah.
Oh Lord,
You've got a lot of them.
vitamin D deficiency.
Sun.
Yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's now do side by side. I want us to look at, and you in your company, Plumptre Advisory, you work with students who are, going abroad to study, both, especially at, the teenage years and then a little beyond that and the rest. What are some of the myths that you think that people usually have, assumptions like you mentioned earlier, that people usually have about study abroad that is just a myth? I want us to look at it now.
So, I put my mommy hat on when I do this job. And what I mean by that is I'm extremely practical. So, I think of all the different variables that I feel people need to know, my clients need to know, and I tell them. I think one of the assumptions, generally speaking, is we assume that going to some of these countries, because there's the perception that they are developed countries, that things work, things will be easy. As once you get there, you don't need to worry too much about things. It's like there's just this. It's just an expectation which usually receives a rude awakening if you actually don't plan. So everyone needs to be conscious of their own peculiar circumstances. Everyone needs to be conscious of what their goals and objectives are for going to study abroad. It is really critical, because if you don't plan, then the chances of success are very, very slim.
Yeah.
What are you going there to do? Is the idea to progress to permanent residency? Is the idea to amass certain skills, to work for a while so that your profile is really well tailored, so when you return you get a good job? Whatever the objective is, look at what the objective is and plan towards it. Look at the context, the environmental context. What does this environment have to offer to support my goal and my plan? And then and sort of note it and then start to work on it when you get there. Because, for instance, some people just assume, even people who have scholarships, just assume, okay, when you hear that word scholarship, it's like, oh, everything is taken. But not everything is taken care of. You still have a lot of living expenses. And to be honest, money really goes really, really fast. So sometimes you also need to plan for some additional funding. Either you're going to be taking up part-time job, or you're going to be doing something else, or you're going to have an additional sponsor or something. But I think it's really critical. Don't assume things are easy. Don't assume everything works.
Yeah.
And another thing as well is, because I know a lot of us, when we go, we always get a job. Like I said, it was a rude awakening to just find out that my degree it's not about a degree. In a lot of those parts of the world, it's not about your degree. Yeah, the degree is great, but do you have the skills for the job? So for some of us, we need to actually be planning 2 years, 3 years in ahead for that study abroad plan, because we need that skill to be able to support our education.
Yeah.
So I think those are some of the things that, for me, I find that people don't necessarily sit down and think about those things, and they need to. If not, they will run into trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love what you said about assuming that everything works. Like I said earlier now about trains not working, because of summer, for example, and sometimes even train operators go on strike, and then you're not able to transport yourself maybe to campus or to wherever you're going, And another one, because now I've talked about strike, is people assume that strike only happens in our institutions in Africa. But the truth, I don't know if you experienced any of that. Did you at any point?
No, I didn't.
You didn't. Yeah, I did, by the way. But the thing is that, people, because you graduate at the set time, but it doesn't mean that there was no strike. The only difference, and I say, and people can decide, what they feel about it. Because if I'll use my country, Nigeria, for example. In Nigeria, if the union goes on strike, for example, by the time universities come back they resume back, they will go back to where they were before. They could speed up things and then have you write exams. But in countries like the UK, academic session is running. Wherever the strike meets you, wherever the resumption meets you, you continue from there. You understand? So sometimes it's just an assumption that, strike only happens in your country. Yes, there are different types of strikes. Yes, there are different types of, amenities not working. I'm sure that there are different levels, but these are some of the assumptions. Are there some that you also have myth that you think that we just need to debunk now?
Okay, so I would just like to say that not all countries provide work permits or allow you to work while being on a student visa or whatever visa that you go in with. In my case, like I said earlier, I thought, it was easy to get visas to neighboring countries and all that. But even while in the Philippines, we were not allowed to work. So
You couldn't work part-time?
No.
Oh.
We couldn't. Not that it made any difference to me anyway.
Because you had to study anyway, because it was back to back.
I mean, but yeah, I would like to say that research goes a long way.
Yeah.
You should look into where you're going and know the regulations and know how you can, just like you said, how you can support yourself through that journey, because we were not allowed to work. Although the Nigerian in me, during COVID, people thought on their feet. We had what would I call it now? Delivery systems for food and all that. But I saw Nigerians that had bikes. Oh, do you have a package? There were, because Mangas area, So people, Nigerians had bikes and they
Also innovative.
Exactly. So yeah. I also sold, I catered, I sold food, I made food.
And you were helpful, because that's helping now. And because during my time, I'm sorry to cut you short, by the way, during my time as well, we had to do a lot of supporting, volunteering for. We had the place called BMECP, which is the Black Minority Community Partnership, and food banks. We had to, because I studied into the pandemic as well, so I can resonate with some of the things that you're saying.
Oh, and that's one other thing. Like the Philippine government provided palliative, or what would we call it here? Palliatives, yeah. Even though we were Nigerians, they would knock on your door. They'll give you food stuff.
Oh.
Everybody, irrespective of your skin color, they gave everybody food. And they even had strict regulations to try to curtail the spread of COVID, and we all had to abide. We had our barangay cards. You could only go out on certain days and all that, just to divert a little bit. So, research goes a long way.
Yeah.
Look into where you're going, because I couldn't work, and I thought I would even be able to support my parents because they were my sponsors basically. So I couldn't do that. But during COVID, because we had to leave school by March, so we finished up with online courses and all that. So I was able to do some side gigs, and it was a smooth sailing for me to pay my tuition at that point in time to graduate. So
thank you for saying that. Another one that I just thought of is, how people would say, if I can survive in a Ghanaian university, I can survive in any foreign university. If I can survive in a Kenyan university or Nigerian university, I can survive anywhere. You need to know the kind of rigor that goes into it, and it's not downplaying, the experience, because the experience that we have in our institutions are also very, because one, the curriculum is there, the teaching, the exams. We do a lot of summative exams in this part of the world. We have to read a lot, and that's why you see a lot of people doing what we call night class in Nigeria, for example. And in many of these countries, people are not even familiar with what they call night class or whatever. But the truth is that the system is different. You have to do a lot of reading before the class. You need to do a lot of preparations before the class. In your case, you have to do a lot of exams. And I think it's, that research and understanding is very, very important. I want to talk about, because you talked about funding and all that. What is the assumption that, and I would just if you can just quickly, because this is a side question. Okay. What are the assumptions that you think people have about the finances, in terms of how to cover their fees? You were saying something about people saying that they can cover their fees when they resume or when they're on campus and stuff like that. But what are the assumptions, and how do you think they can prepare in advance for it?
I would say budget.
Yeah.
The good thing about a lot of these countries is a lot of information is available at the click of a mouse. I think one of the challenges we have is that we're lazy with research. But if you want to know what are the average living expenses, if you want to know how much does it cost to take a bus from this proposed place where you want to live to campus, all that information is easily available. So I would say budget. Then you need to look at, okay, who is sponsoring me? How much money is available? Or how much is the extent of my scholarship? What will it cover? What will it not cover? Then you now have to think, how am I going to meet up with the balance?
Yeah.
So what then comes is, do you have an additional sponsor or are you going to work? Now, the working
If you're allowed to work.
Yeah, if you're allowed to work, that's a good one. And even work is a bit dicey because sometimes it takes forever, to get a job. So you need to ask yourself all these really, really hard questions. Yeah. Could you start applying way in advance? I mean, a lot of all the applications are online. Do you start in advance applying, getting a sense of what the requirements are for the role? Are there things that you need to start doing? Do you need to revise your CV? Could you start applying in advance so that when you get there, the chances that maybe you might get 1 or 2 interviews? But I would say it's really just sitting down, creating a budget, looking at how much you have. Some people have an exciting life. They're sponsored fully, all their living expenses are taken care of, but that is not the norm for a majority of the people who are going to study abroad. Yeah. So which is why you need to do your homework. Because sometimes you might need to take a step back. Sometimes doing the homework means you make a decision to defer because it's not feasible. Because what you find is that a lot of people will then go, they've not done the research, or they're hoping, or they're believing God.
Trusting God.
With faith.
And I don't understand that. You don't go without a plan. So you get there, you start begging your classmates, or, you start in the church, you start begging in the church or wherever it is that, or in the community. And it's really not okay.
Yeah.
Because you could easily have anticipated this was going to happen if you actually sat down and did the budget.
Yeah. I agree. Thank you very much for saying that, because it's some of the things that people, and we have people who resume and they don't have any plan for where they're going to live.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't heard that one.
Yes.
Isn't it for your churches?
Yeah, people travel and then they haven't thought of where they're going to live, where they're going to stay.
Oh my.
So they're like, when we get there, it's going to be easy. Another assumption, let me say this one, is people assuming that there are no scammers abroad.
Oh.
Yes. People assume that there are no scammers abroad. There are scammers. People that have gone and they're like, everything is fine. Apply online. Some pay money for accommodation. £1,500. Gone.
I mean, voice phishing. Yeah. They would just call you. Oh, my name is this. I'm calling it from police or whatever. And they just cook up a story and
and once they see that you are a novice, they rip you off.
Because you know that you're new to the country, you might not understand a lot of things.
Exactly. So I think that's another thing. Being able to budget and plan very well in advance is very important. Now, talking about planning in advance, and you talked at the beginning, you mentioned some of the things, like you were talking about your graduation, resuming, coming back to Nigeria and not knowing that you have to prove yourself. And she was talking about part-time jobs on campus, and you've rightly led into that. My question to you is, how do you think current Africans who are studying abroad or those who are seeking to travel abroad for their studies, how do you think they can prepare well for post-graduation realities?
So when you say it that way, I mean, I just had nostalgia. Anyway, I would say if you fail to plan, just like as we've been saying, you would plan to fail. And knowledge is power.
Yeah.
You can try to walk in the path of people that have gone before you. Try to reach out to them. Aside from Googling, checking information online, you can reach out to people that have, gone before you. Oh, how did you do it? Because even the registration process in Nigeria, it's not online for nurses. It's not online. Yeah. So you have to, reach out to someone that knows this person or that. So you might, mentorship. Oh, how did you do this? How did you do that? Just to really know how it's being done, and also stay updated, because year in, year out, these things change.
Yeah.
I mean, back in 2016, it was we had to go to Abuja. I mean, we were supposed to go to Abuja like 3 times just to, not even that was before we got the license, before they exam. So you'd have to go to Abuja Ministry of Education for evaluation, then nursing council, then go back, then you do screening, then go back again to Abuja to do another, to get a letter. I mean, it was, they could do a lot about that, but yeah, it's not for now. But I mean, so just can reach out to people that have gone before you to just try to know how they were able to do theirs.
Yeah, I agree. I'll let you add to that because you counsel people on a regular.
Yeah. But maybe I can share my own experience.
Yes, please.
So I also know there's this assumption. I assumed that when you come back with a UK degree, you'll be hot cake.
Yeah.
And the jobs will just be there dying around. And I was in for a rude shock.
She said, okay.
I mean,
so I did have challenges finding a job. And this is somebody who was trained as a lawyer, who went to do an MBA.
Came back with 2 degrees.
And then came back with my professional HR certification. And it was like radio silence. Yeah, so it did take me forever. I mean, in the end, I decided to take a career break, have my second child, and then found my way. I mean, that's a story for another day. Found my way into education. But it was challenging. And I think I think I wasn't prepared for the unique job-seeking environment that we have in Nigeria, because it is very unique. It's not necessarily about how well you do the application a lot of the times. And I think for then, unlike now, it was very much about who you know. And, I wasn't very skilled in networking. I wasn't very skilled in putting myself out there. I didn't really know a lot of people, so I couldn't really make a lot of inroads in there. I think now it might be a bit more advanced, but then it was about does your father know that you can take your application to and on all. So it was a bit. So I mean, thank God in the end, I found myself in education after volunteering for like a year. But it was really, really, really tough. And I think if I were to sort of advise people now, but I guess it's a bit more advanced now. I think with a lot of it, there are a lot of industries where your skills and your certifications actually speak for you. But I would say that networking bit of it is still very much important. And so I would advise people really to be able to put themselves out there, make themselves very visible. There are a lot of platforms now like there's social media where you can put yourself forward for thought leadership, where you can promote what you do, your projects that you've done. So I would really encourage people to even build that profile as they progress, even through school, not when they, not start to do when they come out. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And I love how we've just summed up the conversation, by, talking those assumptions, but also things that needs to be done. And I love when you touched on networking, because networking is also very important. Even abroad, to be very honest, to get jobs overseas as well.
Yes.
I see the reaction. Like even getting jobs overseas, it's important, people, because it might not just be it might still be merit based, but if you don't know the people who know about this information,
who knows?
Exactly, and people who can put in words for you, like putting in words for you, you might not get it. Do you understand? I think that's one thing. Another thing that I would always I would say to people is leveraging opportunities that are available to you on campus. Like we were talking about budgeting and ensuring that you save money, you use your money wisely. So it comes from the place of you mentioned that I should have done the research on where to get cheap things, but a lot of people don't even know how to get cheap things, how to get discounts, and those things can really be helpful along the line. And apart from that, internships, placements. Some people of course they are doing programs that as placements, but they will do placements in the easiest place, not a place that positions them for the future that they want. Do you understand? So I would always say to people, if you have the opportunity of internship in terms of for placement, look at what path, what career you want to build. And like you started, how you started building backward from
My expected outcome.
I think that's really important, because if you know the expected outcome, I want to work in this company, what are the things that I need to do along the line, then you can position themselves. Then simple things like language, understanding cultures, or doing one of your essays on a country you want to work in can also help you. I think that is what I want to just say, just to add to what you've said.
Let me tag on that about the networking bit. So I guess
this would be our final wraps anyway. So any final words, please put it in there.
I guess maybe I was a bit switched on in the UK in terms of the networking bit. So I discovered my interest in HR while I was doing my MBA, which is why I went on to do the CIPD program.
Yeah.
But one of the things I was very particular about doing was insinuating myself in the HR community for the CIPD. So I asked if I could take some classes with the HRM program. And the reason why was because one of the things they had advantages was they used to get lectures. So they had this relationship with the CIPD local chapter.
Yeah.
So professionals, senior HR professionals would come and do lectures with them. And for me, I thought, I'm going to attend those classes because I want to meet those senior HR professionals.
Wow.
And then what I also did was, for my project, I specifically chose a topic that my sampling would be senior HR leaders. Now, once you take that letter to people and say, I'm doing my project, can you give me audience? They're more willing to give you audience. So you have a legitimate platform to interact with them. So I'm on the phone with them for hours, telling them my questions, asking them questions, but I'm now making a connection with them and relating with them. Now, once I leave that school, who is going to be my prospective employer? Those people I'm speaking to.
That you're already meeting, yes.
Yeah. And then I was able to get a job that way, as in post MBA in the UK.
I agree. Thank you very much for sharing that experience. And it's really plotting, what you want to do is positioning yourself for it.
Because
say it for your final words and you can build on it.
I was going to touch on positioning. She already talked about networking. We have a lot of social media platforms these days where you can put yourself out there, what you've done, what you're working on, so your targeted audience can see you. Basically, I would also try to say, I related to when she said radio silence. Coming back to Nigeria, I could remember, it was not one of my proudest moments, but I could remember my dad taking me to people. Oh, mommy, wash it. It wasn't. He did his bit as a father, but you have to know who. But in that sense, that was what was reigning then. So now I don't think you necessarily need to know somebody if you find yourself in the right network. So it can be online, can even be physical. And I would also say that we cannot totally negate the importance of career planning. I would not even say for Philippines now, because maybe not many people would be looking into the Philippines, but let's say the UK, US, Canada, and you're trying to decide what you want to go study, not to shade certain courses, but that there are some courses you would study and you would not get a job. You might not get a job.
Yes.
Yeah, but we know the chances, right? The probability of you getting a job with certain courses, as they are not so in demand over there. So I think this is also something that you can, as a perspective, looking into this, knowing what exactly you're going in for, like she said, the goals. Is it PR? Is it exposure? Because some people just go there for, let me just see what this country has to offer, and not really to be a citizen or whatnot. So, what your goal is, and just really planning. We've talked about planning and planning.
Exactly.
Planning, is the bedrock of that particular success that you're going for. So, and that's all.
Thank you very much. That was very, very apt. And I think another one last thing that I'm just going to add to that is beyond the internships and the rest is opening yourself up to going to places, attending seminars, if sometimes you might not have the grace to audit courses like you did, but you attend seminars. If there is an opportunity for a visit to the UN, you're studying development, there's a trip to the UN, and you now calculate. I understand that finances are important. We've said budget, but also understand that some things are investment in your future. So it's very important to be able to prioritize those things and make the right decisions in that regard. But thank you very much for sharing from your wealth of experience. I'm sure that if we want to go on and on, there will be lots to talk about. If we want to drill down on post-graduation, and we didn't even talk about reverse culture shocks.
Oh yeah, that's But I think
I think you did. Yeah, I think you did. But there are so many things we can talk about. But thank you very much for sharing from your experience and realities about myths and facts and assumptions and realities. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Absolutely, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
All right.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much. Well, anyway, that was the conversation with Adeyinka and Yemisi, who have shared their experience, and together we've been able to delve into some of the assumptions that a lot of Africans have before going abroad to study, some of the realities that awaits them while they get there to study, or even when they're back to their home countries, or even staying back to get jobs or going to other countries to get jobs. It's very important before you travel to ensure that you do as much research and you plan as far ahead as possible in order to ensure that the reality that you encounter is not too shocking to you, and then you're able to really adapt to the system, build capacity, and build a strong future from there. I hope you have learned a lot from this episode. I hope you have enjoyed listening to us. If you have, I would really like for you to do us a favor, do something for us. Just give us a like, give us a share, and please comment on this episode. Let us hear from you. Let us know what you're thinking and what you'd like to hear. The email is also showing, podcast@tineafrica.com. We would like to hear from you. Till next time, when I shall be back with another exciting episode. My name is Louis Adekola, and this is TINE Africa Podcast, the new sound of international education in Africa. Goodbye.